Super short review for Wonka in IMAX. Wow, it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. The IMAX presentation leaves much to be desired. Go check it out.
Yeah, it's
Anyway. Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to 3D 40X Reviews. I am your host, Rob, and this is my girlfriend,
Ashley.
And today we saw Migration. This is the one of two movies we're seeing this weekend, even though it's Thursday now. But tomorrow we're going to be seeing Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and that will actually be her first time seeing a proper IMAX 3D movie. It's a shame it has to be Aquaman 2, but I gotta take what I can get. But today we're talking about something that I really enjoyed, Migration. This is Illumination's newest entry in their long line of animated movies. Earlier this year they released the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and now they're releasing an all-original property called Migration. It is a story of this family of ducks that go out on an adventure to try to reach Jamaica. Then wacky shenanigans happen along the way. It was a really feel-good movie. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. There's a lot of fun sequences. Even though most of the marketing is centered around them hanging around in the city, that's only like 10 minutes of the movie. Like, they don't stay there for very long. They just move on to the next thing. I think having that preconception in my mind made the movie better, because I was like, once they got out of the city, because I thought the whole movie was going to take place there, I was like, oh my god, where are they going to go next? I was actually really invested in this little family of ducks and seeing where they ended up. This is really good. I think that this is going to be another hit for Illumination, and I think it's also going to be really good because it is an original idea and it's going to be successful. Now, when we went to go see Wish, there was nobody in that theater. Like, I think there was like one family, was like two people.
There was two people, and they were in one group together. So
yeah,
basically one.
And this theater was like almost packed. The first 4DX 3D screening for this movie was basically packed, which I was not expecting. So it's looking like this movie's going to do well in its opening weekend, and I'm going to hope that it does. I'm really happy that it's looking like it's going to, because it was just a very enjoyable movie with a lot of very interesting, colorful characters. And I said this when I got out of the theater, and I was thinking it the whole time, this felt like a Golden Age Pixar movie, and that is high praise, especially considering what studio this is from. This is going to be the second Illumination movie to dog Disney this year, and that is embarrassing for Disney. But I'm very happy that Illumination seems like it's getting their stuff on track. They did have a little short before this movie. It was a Despicable Me short called Moon. I actually laughed out loud. It was a really funny short. So you guys have that to look forward to. I actually forgot it was going to be playing before this movie. It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
What did you think about Migration?
I thought it was really cute. It was a really, really fun movie, very feel-good. It's good for the holidays because it's all about like family and togetherness and all that happy, fun, wholesome stuff. So yeah, it was very wholesome vibes. No one's really a bad character except for the antagonist, the only bad character. But everyone else is pretty good, as in like everyone has pure intentions.
Yeah, it was very fun. I had a really enjoyable time watching it. And if you gotta choose between this or Aquaman, there's no choice. I mean, I haven't seen Aquaman 2 yet, but it was just good. And now we're gonna roll into the presentation, the 3D and the 4DX effects. Let's talk about the 3D. I thought the 3D was really good. Illumination always does a fantastic job. They have these very deep views, especially considering that there's a lot of this movie where the characters are flying and the ground is like really far away and there's a lot of pop out. Even in Moon, there was like a lot of deep stuff going on. So obviously, once again, just like with all the other Illumination movies, I have to recommend seeing this in 3D. It fit the format, it fit the story. It was also just a good fit in general because it is a road trip, because you're seeing all these different locations and places and they're way up high, and even subtle moments of pop out like with their beaks. Like Rio 1 does this a lot, where the beaks kind of come in and out of the screen. And it's just a really cool effect. You might not have noticed it, but your brain did. So Illumination, once again, did a wonderful job with the 3D presentation. In fact, if this comes out on 3D Blu-ray, I would actually consider buying it, but it probably won't. Of course, I totally recommend the 3D for this.
Yeah, I like that one part where the antagonist like did a pop-out thing where he like stuck the thing through the screen. It's like,
Oh yeah, the
there.
fork. He has like this really long fork thing. It almost looks like a tuning fork. I'm sure there's like a specific word for it that the culinary people watching this channel are losing their minds over that I don't know the name of.
Two-prong fork.
Yeah, he goes at one moment and it's like right there into the camera.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments like that. It's not obnoxiously in your face. It goes along with the rest of the ride.
Yeah.
It's well integrated. And another thing that was well integrated was the 4DX effects. Now there are a few sequences where the 4DX gets really intense and the seat's throwing you around. There's specifically one scene where they are flying, they're messing around in the clouds and they're like throwing clouds everywhere.
And the sun is doing like loop-de-loops and stuff, and the seats
Yeah.
are moving around with that loop-de-loop, so if you get motion sick easy, that can kind of...
Yeah, there's lots of water sprays, but I really enjoyed the intense moments. Like, they really pushed those seats a lot farther than I remember them being able to go. Like, some movies are really intense and some of them are subtle, but this one was definitely one of those more intense things. But it adds to the flying sequences. In fact, these are some of the best flying sequences since the How to Train Your Dragon, which, I mean, that movie is like known for its amazing flying sequences. So, good job to Illumination. There's also a really excellent one-shot here, like a really long take where they first get to the city and they fly over the edge of this building and they're like running around in the traffic and the seats are moving in the 3D, everything's in your face. It was a really good sequence. It stuck out of my mind. I was looking at it like, oh, this is all one take. So yeah, I thought 4DX effects were really good.
Yeah, as a 4D, I guess you'd call me a newbie. I've seen two other ones, or Nightmare Before Christmas and Wish. This one's probably the most intense of those three that I've seen so far, but other than that, it was pretty good. I did enjoy it. There were some parts where I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. Overall, it was really nice. I liked it.
Yeah, so I think there are worse things you could do this weekend than seeing Migration in 3D 4DX. I highly recommend it. I know 4DX isn't available in basically like most places, but the 3D is still worth it, and it's still a cute movie even if you don't care about seeing the 3D for it. It is just a very fun, very creative, very interesting movie. It doesn't feel like a lot of other Illumination movies. Like I said, it felt like Golden Age Pixar. Almost there. Not quite, but it was close enough. There weren't like a ton of pop songs. There were like I think maybe two or three in the whole movie, which for Illumination is like incredible restraint.
Yeah.
And the songs that they did choose worked thematically for the movie. It wasn't just a pop song for the sake of it. The music choices fit with the entire tone and everything. So good job on that. And there also were a lot of big names. There was like Aquafina, who's only in the movie for 10 minutes.
And Keegan-Michael Key, who plays the parrot that guides them through the second half of the movie.
Yeah, he doesn't have too many lines. Like, a lot of these are just unknown. I mean, I don't know who they are. Maybe people know who they are. I didn't recognize any of the names. This movie, it was just like a lot of restraint on their end to like really want to focus on a creative side and not try to bloat it with a bunch of talent and a bunch of pop songs to like sell a soundtrack. It's like, this is like Illumination's growing up movie where they're finally coming into their own.
It felt like a passion project, and I mean that in the best way.
It does feel like a passion project, and you can feel it, and it was just a lot of fun. Go see it. I recommend it in any way you can see it. Go see Migration. That's my diagnosis of this whole thing. Just go see it in 2D, 3D, 4DX, whatever. I don't think it's coming out in IMAX. You can thank Aquaman for that one. So, do you have any final things?
No, just if you want a nice feel-good family movie for the holidays, this is a good one for you.
And when we come back, which like immediately in this video, but it's gonna be like a day for us, we'll be talking about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We're going to be going to the Airbus IMAX theater to see it. Hopefully we drown before we get there because I don't want to see it. I've heard bad things.
I still remember that trailer from Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm still traumatized by it.
Yeah, I'm traumatized. I have like PTSD, but like before it happens. Like that's what I got from this movie now. Okay. Alright, we'll see you guys in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to IMAX 3D Reviews. It is the next night, it is past 8 o'clock. We have just gotten back from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, a movie that I expected to totally hate, come back and say it was a complete mess, and to my utter shock and surprise, I actually had a pretty decently good time with this one. It follows Jason Momoa playing Aquaman, having a great time, the time of his life, teaming up with his criminal brother Orm to discover the secret behind the Lost Kingdom and stop Black Manta from destroying the world with climate change. This movie, as I said in the intro, was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. I mean, my expectations were like lower than dirt. It was lower than the Marianas Trench, to use an ocean term. Because of that, I think I ended up enjoying it a lot more. Now, it's not the greatest movie ever, and if still, I would say go check out Migration over this one, but they're totally different movies at the same time. This movie is focused on being an over-the-top superhero movie with a bunch of action in it. It is a movie built on spectacle, and it has a little bit of heart in there, talking about family and brothers and that sort of thing. It's a buddy road trip movie, and it's also a message about climate change in some form of way.
I enjoyed it too. I also had rock bottom expectations. It was pretty fun. This is my first endeavor into true IMAX, not like IMAX Junior they have at the Regal a couple towns over. It was definitely interesting. The screen was more square than I'm used to. It was a 4:3 instead of 16:9. So it was kind of like, oh, that's different. The glasses were definitely different. It's a different type of 3D, as Rob explained to me. It's like a laser 3D.
Well, it's a laser projector that doesn't really. It's just how it's projected. It's not like.
It was definitely good. I did have some moments where I was kind of like a bit too much motion for me. I had a fun time, and the movie itself, I had a good time. 6.5, I would say. Maybe even 0.75. I'll round it up to 7.
I guess we're getting into the large format part of it now. Like she said, was her first true IMAX 3D experience. We went to Budapest Hazy. It definitely is a movie that demands to be seen in IMAX, and especially in 3D. Now, we gotta talk about the lofty claims of the most amazing, mind-blowing 3D experience since Avatar. Yeah, 3D was quite good. I wouldn't say it's like any better than like what a Marvel movie would do. I think the IMAX format definitely lifted a lot of the 3D onto its shoulders. 3D, you can have all the depth and volume in the world, but it really depends on the shot composition and the framing and everything that helps make it look even better. This movie doesn't necessarily have bad composition, but there really weren't any shots that stood out to me. Now, there were beautiful vistas and the huge frame IMAX screen. I mean, sometimes it looked like a nature documentary because they're out there in Antarctica, and sometimes there's deep chasms, and when you're underwater in the city, and there's all these different layers. But a lot of the times the movie's moving so quickly that you don't really have an opportunity to appreciate the 3D views that you're looking at. Nothing about it particularly stood out. There was never really any moments where I was like, this is on par with Avatar 2. I mean, like I said, that's like, there's not enough height in the video for me to show how high the bar is for that. But it definitely isn't a bad 3D experience. And I mean, if you're going to see this movie, it is definitely built on the spectacle of seeing it in IMAX 3D. It's an action flick, it's a superhero movie, it's already tailored, designed, made for that format. Then yeah, IMAX 3D is definitely the way to go. And if you can somehow manage to swing it into a true IMAX theater, then it's going to be even better because it does take advantage of the full frame in many of the scenes. Good job to James Wan for creating a movie that definitely almost feels like it has to be seen in IMAX. Because a lot of the shots, I was like, how exactly are you gonna like bring this down to a normal aspect ratio, normal cinema scope? Because it was like so much of the action was taking up the entire frame that I feel like seeing it in normal aspect ratio wouldn't do it justice. Like, you're going to be missing so much of the action. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it in regular, and I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. It's not like Migration where I'm like, oh, I would definitely want to have this as a home release. But it wasn't terrible. So if you're going to go see it, IMAX 3D is definitely the way to go. I mean, otherwise, it's just kind of like, why bother? And I know that's not exactly something that is attainable for a lot of people. A lot of people don't live near IMAX theaters, so especially not like true ones. But as I said, if you can swing it, I would definitely recommend it in that manner. I think they're marketing about how it's the most mind-blowing 3D movie. I don't know about that. I feel like Migration had more pop-outs and deeper views, and it definitely was slower paced, so you had more time to appreciate what you were looking at. So that, I think, also helps. And I did see a few reviews complaining about how dark the movie is, and that kind of hurts the 3D. I think there was enough light in the movie, at least from where I was seeing it, because I know a lot of theaters will lower the brightness on their bulbs in the projector to help them last longer. But our projector was perfect. I mean, it is a laser projector, so it's going to be brighter, it's going to be sharper, so we're kind of spoiled in that aspect. I mean, we kind of have our pick of the litter when it comes to seeing premium formats up here, thankfully for me. So yeah, just IMAX 3D, I guess. I've said it like 20 times now. Otherwise, you probably just skip this one, man. I mean, it's the final DCEU movie, and while it's not a complete train wreck, and maybe this review would have been easier if it was, I could just come here and say this is some old bullshit. Just skip it. Don't even worry about seeing it in IMAX 3D or any format. It is one of those things where the premium format is good enough for me to suggest going to see it, and the movie isn't bad enough for me to say it outweighs how good the presentation is. And that's why it's kind of complicated. It's late. Forgive me. Go check it out if you really only care about seeing a spectacle this weekend and you don't really care about a super in-depth story. It's very basic, bare bones, brotherly love kind of thing, going on an adventure. Yeah, turn off the brain. Just hold on for the ride. I mean, towards the beginning, I thought you were going to turn to me and say, I can't do this, we gotta leave, because you look scared. You were like... Yeah,
there were some moments in the beginning where I was kind of, I was still like getting used to the motion of it, because I had never been in like an actual IMAX thing before, but I was just kind of like, whoa, this is a bit more than I was expecting, and I had to be like, I'll tough it out, I gotta be patient, my brain will adjust, it'll be okay. And then I did adjust.
I tried saying before we went in, I'm like, it's gonna be a lot different than the one at Regal. And especially that the 3D is way more intense in those theaters, and when the opening countdown comes on, it feels like it's right there in your eyeballs.
Yeah, that was really where I was like, whoa.
Yeah, this is good. It's good. I love it. It's fantastic. I wish the whole movie could have had 3D that intense. But anyway, I guess that's it. It's not a train wreck. It's not the greatest superhero movie ever made, but it is, at least if you have the time, worth going to see in IMAX 3D if you can swing it.
My thoughts exactly. It's not awful, but not really worth seeing for its own merits other than the visuals. That's about it.
Yeah, alright, well, thank you guys for watching this double review out. I guess I'll see you guys in the new year, unless I end up doing a 3D year in review live stream. I'll probably do that if I could swing that. Anyway, okay, that's it. I'm gonna
get some rest.
Yeah. I'm an old man now. I can't stay up till 1:30 in the morning every day.